You've just been in a Florida car accident, and now you're staring at medical bills, missed paychecks, and the pile of insurance paperwork that seems to grow by the day. You keep wondering the same thing that my clients ask me every single week. When will this finally be over? When will I actually get paid? Because the timeline of your case, what happens, when it happens, and how you handle each step can be the difference between a fast payout and frustrating years of waiting with no results. How long will it take to settle my accident claim? Hi, I'm attorney Pablo Tamayo. I've been practicing law in the state of Florida for close to 2 decades now. Now let's get right to it. Let's get to what you care about most. How long will it take to settle your accident claim here in Florida? Maybe you're watching this from a hospital bed, or maybe you're at home with medical bills just piling up. Either way, you probably want to know when you can put this whole experience behind you and move on with your life. The truth is, every case is unique, but there are some typical timeframes you can expect. I'll walk you through what each step looks like, what can speed it up or slow it down, and what you can do to avoid some of these delays. Number 1, the immediate aftermath, the first few days and weeks. Right after your accident, things can feel like a whirlwind. You might have police reports, insurance calls, doctor's visits, tons of paperwork, and a whole lot of questions. In Florida, one of the very first things you'll need to do is seek medical attention within 14 days of the accident if you plan to use your personal injury protection or PIP benefits. Florida is a no-fault state, which basically just means that your own insurance covers your initial medical bills up to $10,000, regardless of who caused the crash. There's a 14-day window, and it's very important. If you miss it, you could lose out on those benefits. Now, in these first few days and weeks, your main focus should be getting the care you need and gathering basic information, accident reports, witness names, photos from the scene, and any communication from the insurance company. This early stage doesn't usually impact how long your claim will take overall, but how well you document everything right now can make a huge difference later on. If there's one tip I give everyone in Florida, do not talk about your accident on social media. Insurance adjusters absolutely check Facebook and Instagram. A single post can come back to bite you or slow your claim down if there's confusion about what really happened. Number 2, the waiting game, medical treatment and maximum improvement. Here's where a lot of people get frustrated. After the initial rush settles down, there's a period where it feels like nothing is happening. The reason is simple. Before your attorney or the insurance companies can even talk about numbers, we need a clear picture of what your injuries are and what your recovery looks like. In Florida, you're entitled to recover for all of your losses, not just the bills that you have today, but what you'll face in the future. Lost wages, ongoing care, pain and suffering, and so on. That's why we almost never want to settle too early. We need to know, will you need more surgery? Are you going to fully heal? What are the long-term effects of your injuries? This stage, sometimes called maximum medical improvement, can take weeks, months, or sometimes even longer, depending on the level of your injuries. You might be done treating for your injuries in just a few months, but if you suffered something more serious like a broken bone, tendon or ligament tears, herniated discs, or even worse, it could take 6 months and usually more. During this time, your lawyer is collecting all your records, talking to your doctors, and making sure we really know what the full story is. If you try to rush this process and settle before your doctors finish treating you or before your injuries have fully healed, you're gambling with your own future. Once you accept the settlement, you can't go back and ask for more, even if new problems appear later down the line. Number 3, building your case, investigation, and the demand package. Now, let's talk about what happens behind the scenes. Once you've either finished treatment or you've reached maximum medical improvement, that's our green light to really get things moving forward. At that point, your attorney in Florida will put together something called a demand package. And that's just a fancy way of saying a detailed letter to the insurance company showing every way you've been hurt, what it's cost you, and what we think you're legally owed based on that information. Now, this isn't just a pile of bills stapled together. A good demand package tells your story. Here's what my client's life was before the accident. Here's what's changed. Here's every doctor that they saw, every day of work that they may have missed, every activity that they can't do anymore or they're limited in doing now. We include medical records, photos, pay stubs, if that's applicable, expert opinions, anything it takes to show the adjuster the full extent of your injuries and the impact that the accident had on your life. In Florida, once the insurance company gets the demand, they're required by law to respond within a reasonable time. For most claims, that's usually within 30 days. Sometimes they'll make an offer right away. Sometimes they'll ask for more time or more information. And a lot of times they'll start with a lowball offer to see if you'll bite. That's where having a tough, experienced Florida attorney really matters, who will negotiate hard for you to get the full value and not just fast money on your claim. Now here's an example. I had a client in Orlando. She slipped and fell at a store. At first, the insurance company told the client, "We'll give you $2,000. But once we got involved, we spent time understanding the client's story, reviewing the store's incident report, and sending an engineer out to do an inspection of the area at issue. A few months later, we sent a demand letter outlining all of the issues, and the case settled for a lot more money because we could prove that their floor wasn't in a safe condition." Now, sometimes taking a few weeks to build your demand package the right way can shave months off the negotiation process and put you in a completely different universe in settlement numbers from when the insurance company started. Settlement negotiations. How long does it really take? This is probably the part you're most interested in. How long will it actually take to settle my claim once we start talking to the insurance company? In Florida, some accident claims settle without going to court, but the negotiation process can be quick or drag on depending on a few different things. Was there clear fault or not? If it's obvious who's at fault, like a rear end crash at a stoplight, cases may settle much faster. If there's a dispute on fault or if multiple cars are involved, well, maybe not as fast. Small claims where the damages are under, let's say, $10,000 may settle in a few months. Big injury claims can take years, especially if the case goes into litigation, because the insurance company will dig in and they'll look for ways to pay less or to minimize the claim. Your own patience. Now, this one's tough because sometimes waiting a little bit longer means getting a lot more money. Insurance companies often test you to see if you're desperate. If you can hang tough, they're more likely to pay what your claim is really worth. For most typical car accidents or slip and fall injuries in Florida, I'd say you're looking at maybe 3 to 6 months from the day you finish treatment to a solid settlement. Some cases wrap up faster, especially if the other side is clearly at fault. Others might go on 9 months, a year, or longer, especially if there's a question about who caused the accident, or if the insurance company just refuses to make a fair offer. Sometimes you have to file a lawsuit and be prepared to fight it out in court to get the type of money that you deserve. So here's a real-life example for you. A client of mine in Jacksonville was hurt in a T-bone crash. She finished medical treatment in approximately 4 months, and so we sent the demand letter, we got a response in about 30 days, and we settled for the policy limits 2 weeks later, all done in about 6 months total. But another client with a complicated neck injury, that case took almost 2 years. We had to get expert witnesses and fight a lowball offer, but in the end, she got a great settlement, but we had to work 5 times as hard. That's just the way it goes sometimes. What if settlement fails altogether? Well, sometimes, even if after all of this, the insurance company just won't pay fairly, that's when we talk about filing a lawsuit. And I want to be clear, in Florida, many accident claims settle out of court. But if yours doesn't, here's what happens next. Filing the lawsuit. This officially starts the litigation clock. Now the insurance company knows you're serious. Discovery. This is the evidence gathering phase where both sides share documents and take depositions. This can take several months. Mediation. Florida courts almost always require both sides to try and settle the case before actually going to trial. This usually happens after discovery is completed. In trial, if mediation fails, your case could go to a jury. Right now in Florida, it might take 12 to 24 months from the day you file until the day you finally get your day in court in front of a jury. But here's the secret. Just the act of filing a lawsuit often gets the insurance company to see your case more serious. A majority of cases still end up settling before trial, even after a lawsuit is filed. But it is important to know, if your case does go to court, it will take longer. But it might be the only way to make the insurance company pay what's fair compensation for your claim. So what's the big picture? How to speed up your accident claim in Florida? By now, you're probably wondering, is there anything I can do to settle faster? Well, yes, there is. And here's what I tell my clients usually. Get medical attention ASAP and follow your treatment plan. Delays and gaps in your own care will absolutely slow down your claim. Tell your attorney everything even the stuff you think is embarrassing or minor. Surprises are the number one reason claims get stuck. Organize your own documents, your medical bills, your photos, emails from the insurance company, and share them right away with your attorney. Be patient with the process. I know you want this to be over with, but in Florida, patience is often your best weapon. Quick settlements are usually low settlements. Communication with your attorney. It's important to stay in touch with your attorney and give them updates about your injuries and your treatment, and to gather any documents that they request. So let me bring it all together. The time it takes to settle your accident claim in Florida depends on your injuries, how clear the facts are, how quickly you recover and heal, and how willing the insurance company is to deal fairly. Most cases settle within a year, but some can take much shorter or longer. Now, if you found this helpful and you want to know how to make the insurance company pay you what you're really owed, not just what they hope you'll accept, don't miss my next video, 5 tricks to getting paid big with your car accident. It's packed with insider tips you won't want to miss. And it could be the difference between walking away with a small check and getting the full amount that you deserve. So I'll see you over there.